Hello everyone, welcome to the Pushing Hutton podcast. This is your host Ash. You know, what sticks me from this conversation isn't just the mileage or the race itself, it's the resilience. DNFs, stress fractures, setbacks, those aren't the end of the story, they are just part of it. What I heard today is proof that running is never just about the race itself. It's about the comebacks, the lessons, and the way you choose to keep showing up. And whether it's on trails, in the middle of a city, or guiding someone on their very first 5K, the spirit is the same: movement, exploration, and the community. So if you're out there dealing with your own setbacks, whether it's running or life, remember this: the course you design for yourself is still waiting. You get to decide when to toe that line again. This is why I love doing these conversations, because every story reminds me, and hopefully reminds you, that we are all just out there pushing horizon, one step at a time. And in that note, please let me introduce to our guest today. Here is Laura. Hey Laura, welcome to the podcast, and I am glad you are here. And thank you, Mira, for introducing you to me. And then now we are here talking about your running journey, and you have done some fascinating stuff. So it will be very nice to hear your side of the
Awesome. Super
story.
nice to meet you and very much enjoyed Mira's podcast. Quite the adventurer. She's adventuring somewhere now. It's kind of she's kind of all over the place, so it's cool to watch too. But
Yes, I saw last time I saw she was in Antarctica. I think she was
she's
there,
somewhere. I don't
something
know.
there with snow. Yeah, and I think Alaska. I
Yeah.
think that was the last thing I saw
Yeah.
from her. Can you please give a quick introduction about you? Who is
Yeah.
Laura?
So Laura has been running for about 20 years now. So like a lot of people, I got into it in adulthood. Didn't really like it when I was younger. I'm a Delaware native. I've lived here in Florida for about half my life though, since 2007. Obviously have gone a variety of directions with running. Probably spent my, and we'll get into all that of course, but I spent my first 10 years just kind of enjoying it and just doing it as something to do. And then started getting more into like the racing and the marathon distance and the ultra marathon distance and all the stuff that I used to say, I'd never do that. That's can't be good for you to run that fast. I hate that or fast far. I hate that I've ever even said that, but I have many years ago. And I work in finance during the day. I do running tours that I know we'll get into that more too, but I've done that for, gosh, it'll be like 9 years this fall. So I obviously enjoy it. And I very much enjoy both urban running, as we'll get into, and trail running too. I think there's good things to both sides, and I also golf a little and stuff. So really, anything that's outdoors. And I have a bearded dragon. That's my kid. So it's a little high level basic background on me.
Before we jump into your running history and like how you do it, you do so many things, like you said. What brought you into running, though? Is there a story behind it, or you were
Yeah,
just like, let me try this and see
Yeah,
how it
it's not
is?
like any kind of crazy story. It's just like I said, when I was younger, I played field hockey and I would fake asthma attacks to get out of running. Like I hated it. I would just say like, tell coach Laura passed out or something. Like when I got to the other side of the soccer field where we run, and then I got older. I would go to the gym or whatever, but that kind of stuff. But I moved to Florida and I was broke. I didn't have a job, and I was like, well, I certainly can't pay for a gym right now. So I started running around my apartment complex, and 20 years later. I still want to run every day. So sometimes twice. But yeah, it was just that. It was like all the things that you say you did never want to do, and then you suddenly fall in love with it, and you get why all of us are here and so into this running thing. And it's also just aside to that, it's just kind of cool to see running has really blown up. So to be involved in it for 20 years, and then you see these run clubs that have like 500 people, and you're like, what? It's cool. It's an exciting time to be in the running community.
It's been two
Yeah.
decades, right? You have been
Yeah.
running and everything. Do you remember the first time you ever raced or anything? Do you have that memory, like how it
A little
felt?
bit. I mean, I was actually, so I moved a little bit around, like from 2010 to 2014 for work, and I was in Nashville. And that was the first time. So I ran in Florida for a few years. And then, so I guess like 5 years in, I did like a 10K at the zoo or something like that. I didn't have watch back then. I don't know how I did any of that stuff, but I went and did that. And then it was another long time before I ran again, like a race. I don't do a ton of races in general. I like my little like personal journeys and little things that I do. But I did a half marathon when I lived in North Carolina. And I did that on Thanksgiving at their turkey trot out in Raleigh. And I made all the classic mistakes. I ran a half marathon on the treadmill the week before, like, because I was like, oh, you got to run the distance before. Didn't know any better. So I did that. Then I had a friend coming in to do like a little Friendsgiving. I picked her up at the airport and I could barely walk after the race. Like I just, no nutrition, nothing like that. Cause I remember it got to a Publix and I'm like, I'm starving. I got to eat something. And I got out of the car and I was like, I can't walk. And that's like a half marathon. It's so weird to think about now because now you go out and you run a half marathon on the weekend. It's just what you go do. But back then, like perspective, it's just, I don't know. I think about that stuff a lot because it makes me think about like new runners and reminding them it takes a little while. It takes some time. Like a mile was a big deal
Yeah.
at one point. So yeah, but like I said, from there, just I started playing around a little bit again in Tampa. I didn't race when I lived in Memphis at all. Yeah, I used to do the Clearwater Turkey Trot every year back when they had like more distances. It kind of changed at one point. I did Gasparilla a handful of times, the half and the 15. And then right when I was about to turn 30, all of a sudden I went back on all my words and said, I have to do a full marathon after, all my life, I told my parents that marathons were dangerous at one point a long time ago. I said, I'll never do that. Don't worry about me. Because they worry you run too much or something like that. And then I went up to Newport, made all the mistakes there, didn't understand fueling, didn't train, did it one more time. And then when I started the ultra journey, I started learning after 15 years pretty much to do things the right way. So I'm a little stubborn, but I think a lot of people can probably relate to that.
Oh, yes, definitely. I think we all do
Yeah.
the mistakes. Sometimes
Yeah.
we learn, but sometimes we keep doing it. Just like the strength training and stretching that we talk about runners that we need to do it, but for some reason we don't do it, and we never learn from
That took
that.
even
So
longer.
it's like,
That took like 20 years to start
yeah,
doing, and a lot of injuries. So,
yeah, I can relate to that. And you ran, you did your journey is different. So you did it. You did marathons, you did ultra marathons, and then you took an interesting course, right? So your path changed. You decided to design the 100-mile
mhm.
courses. What did that feel like? Mm,
besides physically,
because you have been doing it.
besides physically painful,
Yeah.
because so yeah, I mean, it being a tour guide and knowing all these different areas and stuff, I always once you get into ultra running, it's like you almost have to do 100, right? Like it gets kind of in your head, and you feel you're like, I'm not going to ever do that, but you're going to do it. And it took me years. I mean, so I started dealing with like Achilles issues like 3 4 years ago. Like I got into my ultra running journey, and I killed it for a minute. Like I was like, oh, I'm on fire for like a year. And that was, that was all I got. And then things started going wrong because of the strength training and all the things I wasn't doing. So yeah, long story short, fast forward to that 100-mile journey, and that started a few years ago. It did become an official race that other people have done, the Tampa Bay 100. They've had 2 years now of running that. But when I was designing it, yeah, I get a little obsessive over my routes. So I physically needed to put myself through that journey. I did it 3 times where I did 66 miles, 70 miles, 64 miles, and maybe calling an Uber from 30 miles from my house because that's how it maps out. But the last time when I finally did it in April, I had finally learned the lesson of you cannot have any doubt, as cliche as that sounds. I always went out there and there was always the chance of some excuse. There was always a way for me to fail. So when I went out this time, super undertrained, wasn't ready for it, but I knew I had enough years of experience to get through it. And that was it. It was, there was no option. Like I was going to finish, and that it sounds so simple, but I finished. I got a stress fracture from it, but I finished. But I did it unsupported. That was my stubborn thing. I've tried to run Miami 100 twice. That's actually where my dream, that's where I kind of fell into all this because I love the urban running. I love what Luis Coco is the director down there, and he's a like not karate, he does like martial arts, teaches kids, and he's just like a without cussing a bad A, I guess. Try not to cuss on the podcast because I cuss a lot in my personal life. But yeah, he's a cool dude, and I kind of fell in love with that style. I mean, I was already doing it a little bit in my personal life, like traveling and stuff like that. But seeing the way that he just would do the journey running everywhere, like inspired me to want to bring that to Tampa. And Tampa, if you didn't know, also didn't have anything like that. Like we had no 100-mile urban courses on the west coast of Florida. You had Miami, you got the Keys, you got Daytona, all these different things, but we had nothing over here. So pretty cool and special just to have brought something like that and to have finally finished it myself because you can imagine that hangs over your head for years. Like why me? Why can't I get it done? And
And that is a special experience because you designed the
yeah.
course yourself and you finished it too. So, how was it for you emotionally, mentally? Because I know you did it. Designing is one thing, but going and doing it's a different thing. So, when once you're done, were you just relieved that God, this is over now?
Oh, there was plenty of that relief. Yes, there was so much of that relief. I did it on the Easter weekend just so I could have that like long weekend to just sit back and do absolutely nothing. But yeah, it was. I mean, it haunted me. I hate admitting it, but I mean, I think people can relate to it too. Is it killed me in a way for years because, like I said, I've been doing this for 20 years, right? And you forget where you're at, and you think, well, of course I can do that, and then you see. With the social media, sometimes I think that it can be good and bad. So you're seeing other people doing what you wish you could do, and I'll even take it to the point where you go, how did they do it and how could I not do it? Like they've only been running for 2 years or whatever it is. And I should be saying, wow, that's freaking incredible that you did that. But you were human and you're going like, why not me? Why not me? But I had to get over that and take some accountability and get it done. But yeah, just being out there too, when it sounds like I said, probably made up or something, but I really wasn't, even though I was in physical pain, especially the last 20 miles, like there was no running at that point. Every step hurt and I kept trying to do things to correct it and I just wasting more time, how that goes. But I never was upset during it though. I was like laughing to myself. I mean, I do a lot of running by myself, so I talk to myself a lot. I live alone, all those things. But I was in a good frame of mind, like laughing about random stuff, watching people, and just taking it in. And it took me a long time. Like I said, I'm a stubborn person. It took a long time to get through my thick skull to just go out there, commit, and enjoy the ride.
I can totally relate to that because, like you, also I thought of doing it. I was like, I've been running for a while now, so I should be able to do it. And I was like, everybody's doing it, everybody's telling themselves, and I always thought that, what the hell am I doing with
Right.
myself? Why not me? Like you said, why not me? Why shouldn't I do it? So I and like you said, I committed, and then I have my ultra in 5 weeks, and after talking all these crazy ultra runners, that's the feeling inside me was brighter and brighter after each conversation because once you talk to one person and then again you talk to other person and then you learn about the DNFs and how they are fighting through it and going through and pushing through and like why what
Yeah.
am I doing because I'm supposed to do this and I decided I was like after talking to Erin I was like she's doing it. She's kicking ass. She's DNFing, but she's going and trying. So I should at
Yeah.
least try it. That's how I feel. So I next morning and I committed it. So I'm doing it. For you, you said you were running through and being so stubborn, you were going through so much pain because you obviously had stress fracture, right? So it's not fun going through.
No. No, I mean, the last 20 miles, they were rough. I mean, it was really bad. Like I said, every single step hurt, and then you're looking at your watch and you're going to like slower and slower, and it's not even your base like 3 miles an hour you're hoping for. You're like, oh, it's like two, and the sun was starting to come up and all those things. So I started at like 3 in the morning on Friday, so I was certainly hoping I'd be done before the sun came up back up on Saturday, but I wasn't. Mira actually came out, so I wasn't completely unsupported. She came out for my last 2 miles, her and my buddy CT, and brought me a nice coffee, which I appreciated. But yeah, there was a lot of physical pain, and that's I think that's a big part of it too, right? Because there's like you go into these races, and I've done that a million times, and sometimes it's valid where you sit there and go, I'm really going to get a serious injury, like I got to call this, and that just comes with maturity too. Like I went out there, if I would get injured, I get injured. Like it had the mental part was more important to me after this many years to get it done and to get that confidence back too. So I was prepared to do whatever, and I did it. So, but I'm running again now, so which is good.
What was going through your head? Because, like you said, you wanted to do this mentally as well as everybody else is doing, right? So you've been running for so long, so you wanted to do because that. And what was going through your head when you obviously are in pain and you still have 20 miles to go? Did you ever thought of like, what if I can't do it? What if I have to quit?
No, that was the difference. Is I wouldn't let those thoughts in my head because it's like I said, it's like everybody says, and I know it's in a million books and all that stuff. But the second you let that thought in, it really is true that you're going to make an excuse. The minute that you go, oh, I might not be feeling so well at this point, or I'll do it again or something, or I have a real good reason this time to quit or whatever. Like they don't understand. Like I'm really in pain, but there was no off switch. It was like, we're going to finish it. Am I going to crawl? The one thing I didn't think about, and I always think about it and regret, is I should just try to walk backwards. Like if something in the front hurts, like just walk the other, turn around. But you don't think about that when your head is just like in survival mode. But no, I was miserable because it was getting hot again, and I wasn't in the mood to deal with that. But no, there was no quitting, because if that thought had come in my head, I would have quit again for sure.
What went through your head? Because obviously you had this stress fracture and you couldn't run for so long, and resting is like a nemesis of every runner's life because we don't like to
No.
rest. We just like we want to run like even if it's just pain. I just need 5 miles.
Yeah.
It will be
All
fine.
the
So
memes, right? Where the
how do you
person's in the hospital bed.
yeah
Yeah.
how do you stay focused? Let's say when you are going through all
It
of
was
that.
it was tough, but I guess the good thing, good out of bad, was that I've had so many things happen in the past few years. I had the Achilles, I broke my elbow. So I'm somebody that never broke stuff, and I broke like two things in 4 or 6 months. I had an eye thing where I almost got blind, like after Ancient Oaks endurance run. I somehow got something in my contact. I was on like eye drops. I was going to go blind for like 2 months. So I was running and carrying eye drops and like a lot of cleaning like to make sure my hands were clean and stuff. So it was just kind of one thing after another happening for years. So by this point, I was pretty mentally. You say it and then you still struggle, but I was pretty mentally okay with like, I'm not going to lose my mind for running. So when I first got into running, like a lot of people, I was somebody, I'd go to work late, whatever it was. It didn't matter if I overslept, and I was like, I'm not going to be around people until I get like at least 5 in or something to myself. And something it's just maturity. You have to let that go too. Um, doesn't mean I didn't struggle. It doesn't mean I wasn't looking for every excuse to do something. Fortunately, my PT is Tanya Olson, and she knows this stuff so well. So she was able to tell me things like, you can spin. Like, I didn't believe that I could spin. In my mind, I would think that's horrible to put on a stress fracture, but she was able to explain why it was okay, and obviously it was okay. So I had some releases, but it still wasn't the same. The biggest frustration with the stress fracture was really I drive stick, and it was my left foot, so I had to Uber a
Oof,
lot because you aren't
God.
supposed to keep putting that repetitive on the foot.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just that kind of stuff, not really being able to get around. I navigated the running stuff pretty okay, and now I'm back to running. So we're not gonna hurt anything else. We're gonna stay injury free for the rest.
It's tough
Uh,
though, right? It is tough though because you run so much and the running gives so much joy, and also I think it nothing compared to running. Even like you said, you could do spin, but what you get from running, just the pure
yeah,
exhaustion, pure joy, the
yeah.
happiness, everything. I cannot do anything. I hate ellipticals, and imagine going you have to go through elliptical and do
Oh
that
yeah,
thing.
no.
Shit, it's just like, dang it, it's
No,
not
I
fun.
haven't been on one of those in a very long time. But you're right though, because I've that's the runner brain, right? I have actually like, caught myself in the past couple weeks thinking back to the 100 miles, like missing it, and I'm like, no, that's the definition of insanity. You can't miss that right now. That just puts you out for 2 months. But I'm already like missing some of those moments. It was obviously very very special, and like you said, it is running is like nothing else. So the feelings you get, the exploration, and just I don't know. I run the same stuff over and over again, and I still like it.
We all do. When you were going through this 100 mile, what was your highest moment and then the lowest ones, if you remember?
Highest, Lowest was, and that's easy. That's the beginning and the last 20 miles. The beginning was rough. I hadn't gotten, like everybody else, hadn't gotten enough sleep. Was trying to find the excuses the morning of. Now that part's true. Like I was for sure like, oh, we can wait another week, and then, but I had actually put it on my calendar in the fall, just one random day. I just said, you're going to do it. And then I didn't do anything right up to it, but I was committed to it. But so probably the morning of, because I was already in a place where I was like, oh, I can't even, like, I'm already taking breaks too early and stuff like that. And then those last 20 miles, and then the highs, really anytime I went over any kind of bridge is always pretty, because one, we're ultra runners, so we walk them. And then two, it's just pretty.
Yes.
It's pretty. So I did that last night, actually. I walked the bridge. I was like, that's my bridge. I'm going to walk. But yeah, because like going over the Courtney Campbell, you're 50K in at that point. My dream version of that course is that you're hitting sunrise either on Bayshore or on the Causeway, depending upon your pace. And then you're hitting sunset at the beach because it's 20 miles down Gulf Boulevard. And then you're hitting sunrise again at like the pier in St. Pete. That's the perfect 24-hour course. But obviously it wasn't quite that, but I was pretty close with a lot of those moments. I was at the beach for sunset. I was on the bridge for sunrise. So all of those were definitely highs. And then, like I said, Mira and CT coming by and walking with me for like a mile or two while I had a really big Kawa coffee was they don't pay me to say that. I do like their coffee. And that was very much a highlight, because a big thing for me, and part of the doing it self-supported, like carrying all my own stuff and everything, is I kind of call it like a metaphor for life. And I think a lot of runners relate to that too. They want to do it. They want to see if they can finish on their own. But then the other part the lesson that I is still I'm trying to drill in my head is the community part. I mean, I'm a big part of this community, but I don't like to lean on people like a lot of other runners, for sure. I know that. And endurance athletes in general, Ironman people and triathletes and everything. But being able to embrace that moment of having some friends come out and just smile and talk and tell you how great you are and film some little content, you're looking pretty rough. And that was a huge high for me. I finished completely like on my own, like they headed out, and I did it that way, way I wanted to. But yeah, that and the bridges, the sunrises and sunsets, because I think a lot of runners do that too. They chase the sunrises and the sunsets. They coordinate their runs to be, I'm going to hit this pace and I'm going to be at that bridge, and sunrise is going to be coming up. Like, I know I'm not alone in that. Like, I know we all love those little moments, and they don't get old after 20 years. So those were my highs.
Definitely. I was in Orlando. I think I lived there for three,
Okay.
4 years.
Okay.
So I do remember Saint Petersburg. It's a nice
Yeah.
place to be. And talking about you again, you have done around 30s ultras or so, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what does success looks like to you?
Success for me now, I mean, it changes all the time, right? Sometimes it's a 100-mile run. Sometimes it's like a 5-hour 50K or whatever it is. Success for me right now would be consistency and longevity. You see like the Bob Beckers of the world and people like that were, what is he, in his 70s or so, and out there doing bad water and stuff like that. And so, I mean, there's so many people. I read books where people have started running after me. I'll be 40 this fall. And to me, that's young in running years. So the endurance game and like I said, being in this for a long time is what success like to me. Now, I personally would like to get back to fast, a little faster. I don't care that much about being fast, but there's a little, that kind of like 4-hour marathon, that 5-hour 50K, like that's a place where I feel like I'm like on my game. I don't have any desire to be crazy fast or something, but that and the consistency and just runs feeling good. That's success for me. It's not anything crazy. I don't want to run 200 miles. I don't, if I say that, if you talk to me in 3 years and that changed, that's normal. But right now I don't. So yeah, just that and just being in the community and everything. And that's the part of it for me. Running, I've obviously made it like my whole life. I coached in middle school kids. I've done that for 3 years. That's coming up soon. I'm getting into a little bit of hopefully some coaching, maybe just like a few people or something on my own. Doing this, being in the community, talking to people about running, inspiring a bit. and just getting out there and creating new things. We're trying, kind of off record, we're trying to get a marathon here to this city. I'm not even a marathon person, but I care a lot about the community, and I think we deserve one. So for Tampa, I mean, from Delaware, we've got marathons there. Like certainly Tampa can have a marathon, but yeah, that's success to me. Is just kind of just staying in here and feeling like I'm making a difference.
I asked this question to few people. It's, I don't know if it is a very philosophical question or whatever, but some people run to chase something or run away from something. But for you, why do you run?
I did run for that in the beginning, for sure. I can totally relate to that. There's a lot of people. I didn't run like I didn't like quit doing drugs or drinking or something. I don't drink, but I didn't like have some moment where I quit something and then replaced it. There's a lot of that you hear about too, where people are running away from pain or a divorce or whatever it is. And I certainly know that I ran pain away for probably the first 10 or 14 years or so. It was probably just more that mental, I need this and I don't even really know why I need it, but I need it kind of thing. And then I would say probably in the last 5, 6 years, it really has just turned into truly loving it in a healthy. I mean, we all maybe 100 miles and getting a stress fracture. It's hard to explain how that's a healthy relationship with something to somebody else that doesn't run, but I swear that's healthy in comparison. So, so yeah, so for sure there was definitely some of that in those early years. But I'd like to believe that my relationship has gotten a lot healthier with it, and will only continue to get healthier. Obviously, with some crazy moments in between. For you, you guys got to see where you're at. But
Definitely. Yes. Running is healthy. Yeah, you should just trust us, okay? Whoever is listening, running is very good. 100 mile is
yeah,
best. It's the best
good
distance.
for you.
You
Good
should
for you.
try and do it. And when I was talking to you earlier on, or when I was getting to know you, you said 50K is your sweet spot,
Mhm.
right? So what it is about that distance that keeps drawing you, and that that you keep on to doing it more and more and more, because it's a little bit over the marathon. It's give or take 30, 34, 36 kilometers. So what it is about that distance that you love so
I
much?
love that it's satisfying but not completely destructive, is the way I would call it. So that 5 to 6.5 hour or whatever it is kind of window, depending on the terrain and stuff for someone like me, a flatlander here, I just feel like it's got
Yes.
that
Flatlander.
satisfaction of you can get out there about 6 in the morning, you're done by lunch. Something about being done by lunch feels like you didn't lose your whole day. Like I feel like you can still go out and enjoy yourself after a 50K. You can go out and do things versus after a 100 miler, like you just want to shut the lights off and figure out what
Yes.
all
Sleep.
the thoughts in your head that you've had for 30 hours by yourself. You need to come to peace with them for quite a while. But I think after 50K, and it's also in that sweet spot where I feel like I can challenge myself. Like I know I could go get it done today. If somebody said go run a 50K this weekend, like I'm going to finish. It might not be that pretty, but I'll finish it. And I know I can train myself up to a place where I can feel like in a local type race here, where again nice and flat, maybe I might get my top three or something like that. But yeah, it's a sweet spot for me of being able to push my limits without feeling like I'm going to be out of the game for months or something.
Definitely. I've only done marathon so far, so this is my first ultra. So, but yeah, that's definitely sounds like something. If you're into trail world, then that's like a nice distance, because you can just, like you said, you can just go and get it done. It's a little bit over a marathon,
Yeah,
and that's doable. Like 5 6 hours,
yeah,
like you said, it is completely
oh yeah.
possible. And going back at the other race that we did, where you were tied for the
Hmm.
first place, the ride, the wave. What was your mindset heading into this race, and how do you feel when you were going into this race? Like, were you excited? Were you just, I'm just gonna win that first place,
No,
or
no, I
how
was
were you?
excited obviously because like I said, I love running. I've been craving a trip to Miami actually lately because I love running down there through all those different neighborhoods, Wynwood, um, down like Brickell and everything, and out to Biscayne Bay and so on and so forth. But no, I mean I went down to have a good time and to push myself because I felt pretty trained at that time. I do recall, I mean it's been a few years, but I recall not having some GI issues. Those are always fun because of the heat. I still wasn't quite used to that Miami heat, even though I'm in Tampa. Like I remember opening a goo. I used to do the Roctanes. I don't do any goo anymore. You evolve and you start doing like real food. But I remember it melting all over my shirt because it was just so grossly hot out. I was like, this is
Heat.
horrible.
Yeah.
But my advantage in that race was honestly because a big storm came in and I just don't stop. I'm like, what are you going to do? So I kept going. I think a bunch of people like were seeking shelter somewhere or something. I kept going. And so, I mean, it was going to go back this fall. I'm excited for that. I don't know how ready I'll be. I'm trying to get myself ready for it, but I would like to run it a little more seriously and like maybe really try to see how I'm feeling. Maybe I'll just go have fun. But in my mind right now, I think I'm going to run it a little bit competitively, trying to beat how I did out there before. Because his runs, as you probably know too, he gives you a card, so you're following like street by street. So you're also navigating, which I like, but it does add a little time. But the beautiful thing about that race was that, like you said, we tied. And obviously, we weren't sprinting it out against each other at mile 30 or something like that. It was literally the community of ultras. We were just like, let's run it in together. And then in typical ultra runner form, it was an argument. No, you're first. No, you're first. It's just, you wouldn't see that in a Boston Marathon or something. They're going to be like, or they'll run you over, whatever. But like on the trails, and I mean, that's not the trail, but it's the same vibe with the ultra running community is, I know you're just kind of getting into this world, but you'll be running and people will check on you. Hey, do you need any fuel? Or are you feeling okay? I've got some extra salt tabs. What do you need? Like people look out for people in ultras. And probably part of that too is because ultras are a different beast. Like, I mean, you're probably not going to die, but you do need to take it seriously. Like there's a lot more exposure than a 10K. So yeah, but I do want to go back there and be a little more ready to just try to crush it, try to get more in that like five-ish kind of time, 5:30. See how I can do on that.
That's a
It
aggressive
is an
goal.
aggressive goal. It
That's
is.
a
It is.
aggressive.
But we'll see. We'll see how I feel in September.
But you're right though. The community is nicer and people are friendlier. Like you said, I don't think that would have happened in a marathon or even in a 10K where you just like, I'm just gonna
Yeah,
smoke you.
that's
Let's
what it is.
sprint
A
to
lot
the
of
end. So
people
yeah,
everybody wants to smoke everybody else, and then the ultras. And this the other thing is the logistics. You go to a big race, and maybe you're getting on a bus or you're just piled into these corrals. Versus you roll into the ultra, and everybody's just hanging out. And maybe some people have camped there the night before, and and you hang out after until the ultra. Because I'm an introvert, I really am, and so I was always notorious for go to the run and get away from people. I'm not staying at the after party. I'm not doing that. And when I got into ultras, I'm like, oh my God, it's like 5 o'clock. I've been sitting here for 5 hours after my run. We're eating and we're grilling. It's just like hanging out and also running 30 miles. It's kind of like, it's just a different world, but some of the best people of all time. I mean, in my biased opinion, but they really are though.
I think that's why I'm drawn more to it is because it feels
Mm-hmm.
different, you know? It feels like you are part of the community and you are not just some
Yeah.
number like you're doing a marathon because you are obviously a number because you're always chasing something and you're always competing. Some compete with themselves, some compete with others and try to get faster and faster. But in ultra, it's just like it's more chill. Nobody cares about time, right? Time is irrelevant. It's about the journey and how far you can go.
Yeah.
So people run for 4 days, 5 days. So it's not about, oh, I'm gonna run 250 in 3 days. Like, okay,
Yeah.
good luck. Try see if that's possible, right? So I'm also feeling that it's much more nicer. And now my mindset has totally changed. Now I don't even look at my watch while I'm running. I don't
I
care.
really don't either.
Like I just go based on how
I
I
don't
feel.
either.
Yeah, I just go based on how I feel that day. If I want to go fast, I'll go a little bit faster. But if I want to just go hang out, whatever, I'm just gonna go listen to the birds and whatever. It's just
Yeah,
nice.
that's how I ran for years before the watch was just let's call it duration running. I would just go, okay, I'm gonna go soccer games, whatever, 90 minutes. I'm gonna run for 90 minutes. And I would just do that kind of stuff. Yeah, I think the watches are dangerous to a degree because you can get pretty obsessed. I've taken
Yeah.
watch breaks because I think you can get in your head too much over it with the pace and stuff. But I as a rule of thumb, for the most part, start it and I just stop when I'm done. If I stop and eat a burger or whatever, I'm stopping eating a burger. I'm not like it's not like I'm not gonna do that. It's just
I tried to run in the trail.
yeah.
That's why I don't like it. I want it to be
Yeah.
continuous. And while you were giving the introduction, you said you are a running tour guide too. So can you please give a little bit of background on it? Like, what is
Sure.
that?
So running tours,
Before we move
kind of like running
forward.
in general, are getting more attention finally. Like I said, I've done it for about 9 years, but I was running that way anyway. So when I would travel, I would explore on foot, and I kind of got curious about it. And I was like, I wonder if people are doing this. And long story short, kind of got involved with a company. Now I have my own company, Florida Running Tours, but I did it as a franchise type thing for years. But a running tour is exactly what it sounds like. It's a run, it's a tour, but there's obviously a lot more to that, right? So there's stopping, there's pace, there's pictures, there's history, there's different themes. You can just do a tour by yourself. You can do a tour with a big group. You can do a tour of basic history. You can do a tour that doesn't stop. You can do a tour that stops a lot. So a typical tour would be anywhere from 5K up to probably like 21K. So like the half marathon distance. I've done a few of those with people. We just take our time. We stop at 7-Elevens, whatever we got to do, fuel up.
Yeah.
But typically you would go and run and you'd stop somewhere, like the Tampa Theater, for example. And I'm going to tell you it's from 1926, and I'm going to tell you what the inside looks like and all the history and how it almost got torn down and blah blah blah. And then we're going to jog a little more, and then or not jog, excuse me, run. People get triggered by the word jog or
Yeah.
something. So we're going to run a little more, and
So,
then I'm probably going to get some great pictures. Not probably, I am great pictures that you run in front of the postcard and everything. And it's a great way to see a city. Like I said, it's how I did it in my own personal life for a long time. It's a great way to make a friend. You're in a town. I'm still friends on
yeah.
Instagram and chatting with people I did tours with 6-7 years ago. Sometimes they come back and do another tour, or we're just friends, or when I go to their city now, I've got a new friend somewhere else. But you can do tours, anything from, like I said, your basic history to brewery tours where people are getting some little samplers and having a good time, and I'm keeping them under control and making sure we don't like get arrested or something. And then there's mural tours and women's history and mafia and ghost. And I did my strip club tour. I mean, I do every kind of tour there that I can ever come up with. You can come up with anything. So, but it's a healthy way to get out there. You get people that don't run that much, and they come out and they're like, oh my God, I've never done 5K before. And that's sincerely happened with me a number of times because they're so distracted. So, and it's the way I like to run. That's why I struggle with the fast thing when it comes to running, because I think it would kill the joy of why I run in the first place. I run to explore and also to get the cardio and all the good things that come from it. But I'm like, people that run the way I run, which has been cool in the ultra community to see that I wasn't alone. There are tons of people that love to run this
Yeah.
way, where they go, oh, what's down that street? Well, let's go see. Or, oh, and a burger place opened 10 miles from here. Let's run to it. That kind of thing. Like, I love that. Never gets old to me.
While you are doing this, has there been something that you learned about a place that you wouldn't probably just know about it if you're just going visiting? But because through this running tour guide thing, have you ever learned something about a city like that's been completely new to you?
Run, you mean like with somebody else in another city, or you mean here like locally in Tampa or St. Pete?
Anything. Like you said, you used to do that, and like while you are even going outside and traveling, you did the guide
Mhm.
thing. So have you have you ever felt that you learned something about a place? Let's say you went to Miami or somewhere and you found about this place through this running tour guide thing that you would probably never imagined before.
Not from anybody else, but I mean, I've learned a lot just from my own exploration. So I've done most of the tours. I'm typically the guide, not the guidee or whatever. So I've done some tours in other places since I've gotten into this, and like walk around Florence a bit and things like that, and learn some stuff from locals that I knew that do tours. But no, nothing in particular on that. Just overall in general. That's how I like to discover a city. That's how I like to learn. That's how I know as much as I do about Miami's history and Key West and all that stuff, or Sarasota, because I've done tours and things down there just through my own navigation. I usually pull up a map, do like a high level, okay, there's the water, there's this, there's that, and then I like to figure it out like in my head and then play around until you get it right. But yeah, I think it's the best way to learn. And you do learn running with other people, because every time I run with somebody, they're probably from somewhere else. I mean, not all the time. I get a lot of locals too, but that's always my question. I'm not talking the whole time. I'm like, well, tell me, what races are you doing? What's it like running where you live? And then usually they'll be like, oh, if you're ever up there, hit me up. And we're still chatting years later.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of running, right? Like, you get a friend everywhere. You get local insights versus like just, oh, okay, let me Google Tampa and see where to go. Like, your tour guide is going to tell you, your new friend, as I like to say, is going to tell you, like, yeah, no, that's some BS. Like, don't go there. Here's where you need to go. Or, because what's the first thing people ask after a run? Where do I eat? So
Eat, yeah.
you got that like local person there and everything. So
What's the most crazy story while you have done this running tour guide thing, and what's the maybe let's say good and the bad story, or the craziest and the bad story that you have seen through
there's
you?
not too much bad. I mean, I myself have gone out there, in rough shape when I used to party a little bit too much and tried to guide people when I was a little I was a little hungover. I had a guest one time give me their water. This is long before COVID when people would just
Oh
stop sharing
God.
water or whatever. But I've had that. That was probably not my best moment. I had one person fall once, and that's because he was out partying the night before, and I don't think he ever slept, and he came straight to the tour. So that's not my fault.
Oh
But that
God.
kind of thing. But other than that, there really haven't been bad moments. My best moment is always an easy answer because I had a lady named Alejandra from Ecuador came over and did my half marathon run. And it was one of those situations where she had gotten out of running, had kids, a common story that you hear, and she had this goal to get back into it and wanted to do a half marathon somehow. It took us 4 hours or whatever. It was a journey, but she got it done. And the way we did it was so cute because her husband and her kids were there too. So I gave them little points to meet us, and we made it feel like a race. So we'd get up to a certain bridge and you'd see them pulled up, or we were in Ybor City and they came out. We all took a picture together and stuff. And just, I don't know, see somebody get their goal done and to be a part of it. Um, and again, the family involvement and just making a new friend and everything was just that's easily the high. But I've had so many highs from these runs because I've done a lot of themed runs. There's a group called Run Fit. I think we're going to do something again this fall, and I've ran with them 6 times or so. And they're a good vibe. They make the matching shirts. They're ready to party. They've got the mimosas out at 9 in the morning. So I'm a better tour guide the more mimosas you have. That's how it works. So they're always good. They've done mafia tours with me. They've done ghosts. They've done everything, and they hype you up too, and that makes you feel good also. Anytime you do something like that, it lingers for days and weeks because of the social media effect, right? So you're like, oh my god, like they had a great time,
Yep.
and did I create that? Like that's really cool. It's like a reconciliation in the head because you don't want to like build yourself up too much, but you're like, that's really special. They did something they're going to remember forever, and you were a part of it.
Definitely. That do sounds nice because if somebody has not done something and then like you created this little race for them so they can see the family too, that's a good
Yeah.
memory to have while you're doing just sightseeing a city, and then here we are doing a marathon or half marathon while you're at it. So that's
Yeah, I
nice.
had her.
That's
I ran
nice.
up ahead and we finished the armature work. So I like filmed her like running in, like finishing everything and all that, like Rocky style or whatever. I'm sure I probably put some corny song on my story or whatever for running in, but that was a few years ago.
Yeah, that's nice feeling, I would say. As we have been talking so far, you are into this urban running and then you are into this trail running, right? So totally different, two different kind of things. So how do they satisfy your need, or do they satisfy different kind of needs because it's a different kind of running?
100% there. I mean, honestly, I do a lot more urban running by nature of what I do and where I live, and quite frankly, convenience. I don't have to get in the car to do it. But I call it 50-50 whenever anybody asks me this question because they're the same but completely different, and they do fill two different needs in the soul. They both give me the wandering feeling that I'm exploring. I think we all have that deep down in us because we're explorers by nature. So I get that in my urban running all the time. But like last night, I almost made the drive and I made the mistake of looking at my phone and seeing how long the drive was going to take in rush hour traffic. So I didn't do it. But I have a place called Hole in the Fence, and it's like an offshoot of Flatwoods here in Tampa, but it's the trail version of it. And it's my happy place. It's where I got into being able to correctly fuel. It's where my friends finally said, look, you got to learn how to do this. You need to hit 20-mile runs every weekend. Like you need
Yeah.
to do stuff right. Like you're going out these marathons, torturing yourself, which it did. But there's a special place in my heart for that area on those trails because I just spent so much time to the point that people would like not make fun of me, but like poke fun at me. Like, oh, do you live here now? Like, because I was there so much in those trails, and I just knew them. And
So yeah.
you get out there early, and you got the sunrise. I'll talk about sunrise for days. That's my favorite thing. But you got the wild boar. You got to watch out a little bit. They can be aggressive, but it's neat to know that they're out there. The deer, you got some birds. Maybe you might like. I almost stepped on a water moccasin one time. Like there's just different things like that. But just getting that feeling of like I'm in nature reminds me of being a kid and going out to the woods and playing and finding trails and getting into trouble and whatever else it would be. It's just two totally different things. And if I go too long without it, I miss it. And I got to find a way to get out there. So it is. It's the same, but totally a different need internally.
And you forgot to mention alligators. I don't know if that was accident or
Oh yeah.
that was you totally forgot
Well,
about that.
they're just a given around here, right? But they're not too bad on the trails that I like to do. I know some people do, especially like you were mentioning Orlando. I know some of those trails out there, like it's like you just boom, boom, boom. It's just one after another.
Oh yeah.
I don't see a ton where I go, but they're out there for sure. And there's like people kayaking and stuff like that. But no, just that nature and just being out there. And I think everybody kind of has that too, where it's like you want to see an alligator, like maybe, or you want to see like a bobcat or something. Like there's that little like primal, like I don't want to die out here, but it'd be really cool if I saw like a bear
Yeah.
or whatever it might be. So I just think we all have a little bit. Like I think everybody likes playing in the woods, right? I mean that's at least most people. Maybe not
I've been going to like there are specifically two trails I run to. So one is in Suet, and then where my girlfriend lives, and then one is in here nearby. And I've seen boats there, and it's sometimes dangerous because last time I encountered there, and the mom was looking at
yeah,
me,
yeah.
and I was like, oh shit,
There you go.
yeah, oh shit. I was like, okay, I think I need to return now, so I'm just gonna let them chill. So went back, and I came then, and there were like around 15 of
Ooh,
them.
that's a
They're
lot.
just chilling. Oh yes, yeah, small ones. There were like 15 babies or so, and I was like, okay, yeah. So I made a right call. But other than that, I have not encountered a lot of animals here in Berlin, which is nice. I don't mind. I don't want to see bears or I don't want to see
Yeah, that's
alligators.
fair. That's fair. Like I said, it's one of those like it's like you want to see it, but like you don't want to see it too close or whatever it is. It's like little balance.
Also, we were talking about earlier on, you said you wanted to do some coaching, right? So you wanted to do some personal coaching, as you do some coaching for the middle schoolers right
Hmm.
now. And you are already part of this nice community in Tampa, right? So you do a lot of things. You design race courses. You even participate on them and have a stress fracture. That's a different story. But what what are you thinking in terms of, or what gaps do you think it will fill by you becoming a coach? And also, are you trying to create more batches of ultra runners?
So for me, and I also work for Clearwater Marathon too. That's my other running job. I've got too many running jobs. I've been their rep for years for Millennium Running. But so for coaching for me, it's certainly not to go out there and make a bunch of money and coach 50 people or something. One, I don't have time, and two, it doesn't interest me. The primary reason for the coaching certs that I'm trying to wrap up here was one, just for education for myself. I've done this for 20 years or so, but I'm very self-taught when learning through other people, and obviously I have a lot of knowledge to share, but there's also a lot of structure, the things I naturally resist in my personality that I think it would just be good. And also on paper too, from a credibility perspective, when I'm doing more things running career wise, where I can say, well, hey, I've got this certification, I'm XYZ. But that was my primary, and to be better for the kids, the middle schoolers, because I've coached them for years, boys and girls. And obviously at that age, I'm obviously able to help them quite a bit, but I would love if I was a little more, had new drills to show them or whatever it is. I tend to talk sometimes too high level, like I get too crazy with it with the kids, like I'm like explaining like electrolytes and all, and they're just like, you see their eyes glaze over. But yeah, primary reason is you just the confidence level for me, and just to say like, hey, I run this way, but I do know that a lot of people do it XYZ, and this will get you this distance and this pace, and like this is the smart way to do things, versus more of that kind of reckless, let's see what happens personality that I have and share with a lot of ultra runners. And part two to that would be I have for years had people ask me to coach them, Can you coach me? I've talked to a lot of people. Like we talked about with the 100 miles, I've spent hours on the phone with people I barely know just because I want to help. Who were like, I'm about to do 100, but like, I don't think they realized that I had actually never finished it. So, and I helped them and gave them advice, and then I'd see them finish it. And because if nothing else, just because I hadn't finished it doesn't mean I didn't learn a lot. I would have a lot of, I'm one of those, I'm like everybody else, right? You like to give everybody else advice, but we're not gonna do it ourselves. But yeah, so I think I could see myself coaching a few people, but I'm not looking to like coach tons of people, but like some people who really, because I wouldn't want to be a coach, and I personally have never had a coach. Actually, I've always been that stubborn that I've never even had one. But I'm not looking for like quantity. It would be a quality over quantity thing. Like let me really be available and be able to be truly supportive, because I know what I would need and want as especially like a novice runner, that level of support. I don't want to just like throw a schedule at you and be like, oh, you get 10 minutes of my time a week or something. Like if you need help, let's talk. So that's it. Just more things to add to the tool belt, I guess.
You have been in this for so long, right? So over 2 decades, 30 ultra marathons, 100 milers, chest fractures, so many other fun
You sound
stories
like my
with
cross
your
country
running
because they
guide
love to
and
remind me that I
everything.
get injured.
But you gotta bring
Yeah.
that in. So and you're still like helping the community and do other things.
Hmm.
So why would be the question, like
Hmm.
why are you doing this?
Man, you got deep on me there. Because
Yeah.
there is a deeper level to it. And I think about that a lot. Sometimes I think, as odd as it might sound, like I don't have kids and things like that, right? So I think we all kind of look for like a little purpose or someone to help or support, something with meaning beyond just our own wants and needs. And obviously, I seek those. I have goals and I go after them and get things done. But there's always something bigger, even if you don't know where it's going to go in the end when I'm long gone and everything. But there's just something that calls to us, I think, to be passionate about something. When I first got into the running tours and stuff, I was like everybody else. I was burnt out on a corporate job and like I quit at the time dramatically. I'm obviously back working, but we do all that kind of stuff because we just want to feel like we're making some kind of difference, or when those little moments where you realize you did what keep you going. But the running thing, again, like I said, going back to the kid thing and stuff, I think it's about having roots in something you are committed to and that you can see for the rest of your life. Maybe you don't know what capacity it's going to be in for the rest of your life, what level of competition you'll be in, or how much of your life it'll be, but it'll always be there. I've said that a million times about myself. People come and go, jobs come and go. We have our highs and lows, but like running, it's always been there. I mean, even when I'm injured, like I know it's coming back. It's something I can count on. And in a world where people don't always know if they can count on other people or things to come through, you have that. You have something that you can go to. So to give back in that community and to push the bar and to ask questions when things don't seem possible. Oh, we can't do that. We can't have a marathon here or whatever the things are. I'm like, why not? Let me be the person to throw myself out there into the fire a little bit for the greater good if I can. And the counter argument is, of course, well, maybe you should focus on yourself more or something like that. But it's the community that gives. They give back. Just when you start to think, I'm not a part of this anymore, or I've pushed myself away or something, we all, I think, have those moments that one person reaches out to you and tells you that you made a difference or how much you mean to them. And then all of a sudden you're like, all right, I'm in the right place.
We talked about earlier on, right? The comparison between this ultra running community and the running community, and it's all these kind of things.
Hmm.
And you have done so many of those, like trail running, urban running, and sometimes ultra running is not talked to properly, I would say, because people don't give it too much credit, because sometimes when you do 200 mile, like 100 mile too, sometimes you do have to walk,
Totally.
right? Because it's not possible to run all the time.
Yep.
So in your opinion, what would be the one thing that you would like people to talk about ultra running that are usually portrayed poorly in the media?
I mean, probably that whole walking thing. I mean, I make bad jokes about it, like I did earlier. We walk our bridges and stuff like that. But I do think maybe sometimes it goes a little too far in downplaying because you hear that, oh, it's just 100 miles. Well, just walk. that's a 20-minute mile. That's easy or something like that. And until you do it, maybe don't talk about it as much, because like I think that's the lesson, right? Because I did all that. I said that. I'm like, well, worst case, I'll walk, right? Those muscles fatigue as well. So that would be my biggest advice. Go run one first. You're probably going to walk some of it, and then speak to it a little bit more, because ultra running has gotten a lot more respect and things. I think it's getting a lot more attention. But to your point, there is still a lot of that, like, oh, well, they're just power hikers and they're great for memes. But when it's actually, we're really talking about it, like we all know, that's just not how it works. There's ultra running it's like life, right? I mean, people compare running to life all day long, and that's fair. But like ultra running is really like life. You've got to fuel yourself. You've got to think hours, and for some people, days ahead. You can't think about in the moment. It's truly learning survival. I always joke that like when the world ends, the ultra runners, we're still going to be here, because we will be like, oh, we'll live on that. Oh, we know that we shouldn't eat quite yet, or we better eat now, or we're dehydrated, or something, like just basic stuff that like nobody else has to think about ever, because of the way society is now. But that would be it. Just appreciate the distance more, respect the distance, and walking is okay.
And what has running taught you that
Too much.
nothing else has taught you in your life? Too much.
Too much. What has running taught me that nothing else has taught me? Gosh, that's a tough one. Other than the fact that I said that it teaches you everything. It teaches you to be
Yeah.
independent. It teaches you how to stand for yourself. It teaches you how to keep going. It teaches you how to lean on people. Again, my hardest one. But it does. It gives you that sense of community. It gives you purpose. And like I said, for me, it has taught me how to keep going and how to not make excuses. Because I have made excuses in my own life, and to be accountable. I just said it to somebody the other day about something I was disagreeing on or something. I said, well, at the end of the day, I said, that's on me. It's always on me. And until I think the ultra running specifically will teach you that, because you can sit there, and I mean, I remember seeing like ultra sign up in the beginning, and because one of my friends was like, oh, your score is great. And I was like, I'm a numbers person. So I was like, oh, that's good. I was like, maybe I am competitive. And then once you get that first DNF, it humbles you. That's the other big thing is running will humble you. It'll be there for you, like I said before, but it will remind you not to get too cocky. So it teaches you not to get too cocky, and it teaches you how to get things done and how to finish. Because if you're not finishing your races, which happens, I've done it plenty now, and you're not always going to finish, but if you're not, you're going to notice that reflected in your personal life. Like, oh, I got 75% of the way through that new project, or I was learning piano and I quit, or whatever it was. Yes, I did. I need to get back to my piano lessons, so that's actually personal. But yeah, I think those are the two biggest things: teaching you how to keep going, and then also reminding you not to get too cocky. Because I was feeling a little confident there in those early days, like, oh, I'm all right at this, and then it's like, boom, injury, and then you're like, oh, yeah, like everybody else.
That's not
Yeah.
fun. Has Now talking about this, has there been any situations where you have been so confident going into the race, and then that has just humbled you, and it's like, God, this is tougher than I thought?
Yeah, several of them. I mean, even that ride the wave one I didn't feel well. Like I did not in the heat, and you can't get out of the heat. Like he starts his race at like 10:30 in the morning just to mess with you.
Nobody.
In Miami, so
That's punishment.
like if you can sleep in, that part's good. But yeah, there have been a handful of times where I've gone out there and just had that expectation that I'm going to run the whole time, and next thing you know, you're walking in the first couple miles, and that's the beauty of, that's why I say it is really like life, because that's how that's how it was a few months ago for me. I started out and I was walking like in the first 2 miles, and I'm like, well, how are you going to finish this? But you have to remind yourself of those moments where you've been in a race before that was 7 hours or 5 hours or whatever, and that first hour sucked, but then there were good times in hour 2, 3, and 4, and you're like, I don't know how I got there, but I know I'm going to get there. You can't always see it in that moment. But yes, to answer your question, many times I thought things were going to go differently, and that's why I just like to go out there and just kind of not be too confident, just go out and have fun. Like, I'm going to finish. It's going to be a fun day. It's better than sitting on the couch. And then anything else is a bonus.
Have you ever felt that if you were not doing running, how would the life
Oh,
be?
I it's almost like a nightmare question. I have thought about that before, and I don't know. I don't know what my life would be like. That's kind of the risk, but fun part of it, isn't it? Like you throw yourself so far into something. Like I have thought about that. Like if I didn't do running tours or if I didn't run, like I admittedly was like, I guess I would have to move because everybody here knows me for this, and I would have to start a new identity as Laura the hiker in Colorado or something. Like I'd have to be a new person. I mean, I guess I wouldn't have to, but yes, that's as far as my thoughts have ever gotten with that because I don't know how I would ever recreate myself, at least here locally, because I think I've put it out there so much. so, so much.
Definitely, it's harder. And when you go and do this bigger distances, right? So we all go through different phases each race. Like you said, we have so much time to go through bad, good. Sometimes we'll feel wonderful, and then all of a sudden there is the low that you never felt that you would be feeling it.
Mhm.
So when that happens, how do you navigate through all of that?
I remind myself that I've been here before and I know it can change. Like I said, I mean, you can't picture it then. You think everything's wrong. Like when your Achilles hurts or whatever, I'm like, I know this doesn't make sense. I'm like, but trust me, in at least an hour, my finger's going to hurt or something. Like something else is going to hurt. Like I'm going to be thinking about that
Yeah.
Achilles. And you got to give yourself those little small things to look forward to. I'm not one to call somebody. I've never been good at that. I've done it. It doesn't work. Because the last time I did that, I called them and they were like, well, just get to your longest distance, your distance PR, if you're not going to finish. And I was like, all right, I got you. And I literally sat down on the bench 5 seconds later and called an Uber. Like, so that doesn't work for me. It's all got to be like me to me. But it's every time I just remind myself that like at the beginning of the 100 a couple months ago, you're going to get it done. I know you can't see it all right now. And you won't feel like this at some point. It might be because something else hurts, but you won't feel like this. And change is something to look
Yes.
forward to in those moments. You can't look at 24 or 30 hours. You've got to just go, okay, this is it. Let me stare at the birds flying by or something. Why give this pain any more attention? It doesn't deserve it.
True, true. And in that topic, you are currently injured, right? And you probably are thinking about, oh gosh, when I go back to run again, then I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna kill this, I'm gonna train this way. So, what are your thoughts right now? Because I know you've been injured and you are itching to go back and run again. So, how do you
I
feel?
feel good. I've already broken my PT rules a little bit with how much I've done. That's typical, but not too bad. But I'm just trying to navigate being smart. And like I said, when those thoughts get into my head, where I start thinking about like, ooh, I miss suffering out there for 30 hours. I'm like, just pump the brakes and just enjoy. That's one good thing about being a tour guide is like I kind of need to stay injury free ideally if I want to run a business, even though I do have some other people that do do tours for me. I've learned that lesson, but I like to do it myself whenever possible. So I can't do them if I'm injured. So that's part of it. But yeah, I'm figuring out my training. I'm figuring out like what does every week look like. I'm still very all over the place. Like I sign up for a class, I cancel it, I go for a run, changing my plans by the minute. But it's mostly just good to be back. I mean, I had that when I first got that clear to run, I was kind of tired and I was like, you just need to go because next thing you're going to start thinking and worrying and all that. And you just can't. I think we create a lot of injuries out of just worry and stress and things that aren't really there half the time. And I know I have.
And I know this feeling when you have this stress fracture and when you try to go run, then the slight pain is like, and the PTSD is back. Like, oh God, my stress fracture is not healed again. So, have you ever gone through that trauma?
Oh, story of my life. Yes, my foot was actually hurting a little this morning after spin, and I was like, no. I was like, I've done too much or whatever. And you just have to put the thought out of your head because I've shared this with a lot of people. But when I had the Achilles stuff, I mean, it was just overuse. I didn't rip my Achilles open or something. I don't run fast enough for that. But at some point, a lot of it was in my head. It was paranoia about the injury, like, oh, it's going to get worse. And then I would look back, and that's when the mind's so crazy. I'd look back at Strava, and I'm like, how did you run 70 miles if this Achilles is so bad? How did that happen last month? But then the next day you're in the worst pain of your life. And so I think the mental stuff is really a lot of it, and just letting go and just trusting your body to take care of itself, and that you're not everything's an injury. That's another part of coaching. I get those questions from people, especially my friends that are newer into it, and they're like, oh my God, and they're freaking out. It's like runner's knee or whatever. And they think like something's really, and I'm like, I should say this like legally, but you're probably not hurt. I mean, I didn't say that, but I said it. And a couple days later, like, oh yeah, I'm fine. And I'm like, yeah, you're fine.
Yeah.
Just trust yourself.
And what are you doing to prevent yourself for further injury? Because stress fracture is not fun, and you probably want to do 100 mile or more in future. So how are you planning to stay injury free?
About a year ago, gosh, what is it now? July, geez. A year and a half ago, after 20 years, I finally started doing regular strength training. So I always did it like here and there, like, oh, I'm doing strength training. But now I really do it 2-3 times a week. I got to get better at the yoga.
Okay.
But yeah, I stick to that. I pay for the classes and stuff. Like I have a membership where they do like a lot of like glute and leg specific stuff too, of course, but also upper body. So I do yoga once in a while. I'll do some Pilates. I'm spinning. I made myself get the spin membership because I remembered you get so lost in these things. And I had to kind of look back and go, what was I doing when life seemed pretty good? And I was spinning a lot and running. Like I was like run, spin, run. Like I would do both like several times a day, and just was really in shape from that and conditioned, and didn't realize how much I was working other muscles and strengthening them. And then I spent 4 or 5 years again just torturing myself. They're like, oh, running hurts, but it's all I can do. So yeah, a lot of strength training, the yoga, mobility, trying to remember to do everything my PT says, 50% of it at least, or something like that. That's a good start for any runner, I think, or endurance athlete. But yeah, and just paying attention to things. Sleep. We can all be better at that. Trying to focus on sleep more, getting those schedules down, because I'm in a bad habit of staying up too late right now. And then I'm like, oh, I still need to get up at 4 for my workouts, like most of us. So yeah, just making sure I don't cancel my strength training classes. And that if something doesn't feel quite right, okay, you can back off for a day. It's okay. I've kind of learned to do that.
And what is next for you in the journey?
Other than, well, I mean, I've got the 50K in September and 50 miler I'm doing actually out in Middlesbrough. I hadn't ran out there. A guy named Mike Martinez does some races out that way. So I'm going to go do one of those because I haven't been out to support any of his in a few years. But yeah, those race wise. That's all I've got on the schedule right now. I don't want to be injured for my 40th birthday. Like I can't be doing that. That would be too just like fitting, right? Like I'm not going to do that. Like, oh yes, he's out of the game now. She's 40, but which is totally the opposite in ultra running, which is why I love it. Ultra running and golf, like that's the future for me. No, just that. Trying to ramp my business up more. I, like so many people, I struggle with the fact that it's a business that I love. So it's like passion and a job. So, but I am trying to get that going more. So that's really kind of where my focus is. And maybe this marathon thing will come out. And in terms of 100 milers, it would probably be, and maybe I'm committing now, it would be next year for Miami. It's like I'll do the 50K this year. And then that was my dream before Tampa 100 existed, was to run Miami 100. And now I know what I have to do. And the cutoff's long enough that I can do it. So that would be like the next 100 miler that I want to do. So 2026 September. And there's only 2 others that I ever want to do. So I think we're in good shape. And that's Ancient Oaks, which I can't do this year because that's in December as well. And that's the oldest like 100 miler in Florida. And it's free. It's a lottery. My buddy Mike Melton does it. And it's out in the Enchanted Forest. It's kind of like backyard style, but it's not a backyard, but it's like that kind of distance of like 3.5-ish miles. And yeah, and I'm going to run Tampa one more time, and I'm going to run it backwards, sub 24. But a couple of years, not right now. I'm going to run it from St. Pete so I can just end at my house and go to sleep. I don't have to get an Uber when I'm done, or call a friend or whatever. But yeah, those are the immediate goals. I didn't mention any work goals because I mean, work is just work. That's not my passion, but it's okay. I don't mind it. I like numbers. But yeah, those are the immediate goals. Just getting back to that consistency, getting back out with this community more. I miss that. I feel like I'm always very busy, and I have a hard time getting to run clubs. And I've got a lot of people who want to partner and do things, and a lot of exciting stuff that can be done. We're doing another self-defense workshop in a few weeks. We did that last year, so I like anytime I can give back and do something free, and especially that's helping my female community. Like, because some people know I got chased last winter, last December, in the middle of all my injuries. It was like one thing after another. I had some bad energy or something was around me. I don't know. I'm getting into all the hippie stuff with the energy, so like I believe that now. That's there's probably something was going on, but yeah.
Hey, some
But
what you were
I was
chased
chased.
by
I was
somebody?
chased because and it was broad daylight, so it was very bizarre. But I was being
What?
chased. I had people pull over and tell me I was being chased. I called the cops. I ran with the cops on the phone. So it was probably the fastest I've ever ran. I have to go back and look at my Strava and see what I did that day because I was trying to get away. But yeah, I got to a gas station. I mean, I whatever. I actually had people pull the security cameras, and the guy had stopped and was walking by that point. But it was like 2 miles, so that doesn't surprise me that somebody stopped after a while. But yeah, so anything we're in that realm, I love to support and get women being a little safer. Not that we should have to, but we do. So yeah, lots of exciting
Yeah.
stuff going. I've just got to find all the time for it, and then still keep my running going. So typical stress of a runner, right? Like we need time for our runs, and they're
Yeah.
not an hour; they're hours, and then we gotta go do something else.
Yeah, that's unfortunate that you had somebody was chasing you because it's sad that in this day and age that like especially women runners like they have to be mindful that if somebody is watching them, but like it's just sad. Like we are and like we have seen all those unfortunate incidents in New York where all these things happen. So
Hmm.
I'm glad that you have. Do you carry pepper spray next time? You carry a knife too.
I usually carry something on me, or I have like that little like birdie thing that you pull and like it's the loudest thing in the world, like that kind of stuff. So I usually carry some kind of something on me, but I didn't think in broad daylight that that was going to happen. I just, but yeah, like you said, it's unfortunate that that's a thing, but it seems like people are being more aware, and anything you can do to be a little safer out there, because I've caught myself, and I hate that I've caught myself saying it, but I've caught myself saying I'm lucky nothing's happened to me because of the way I run. I want to run at 1 in the morning. I'm out there in whatever sketchy areas that people call sketchy at like odd hours by myself, probably wearing some short shorts and a little sports bra or something. So people are whatever. Not that it should matter, but all that stuff. So yeah, so it's an important thing for the female community to be prepared, and just in case, be a little safer.
Definitely. And also going back, you said 50K in September. So that's like 2 months. And you just got back from stress fracture. Isn't that too soon?
Ooh, who are you now? Like saying that's too soon. But you're getting ready to be an
I know,
ultra.
I was asking. I was
Yeah, it's
asking.
probably too soon, but that's why I was saying, like, I think I want to go out there competitively, but am I really going
Okay.
to be competitive by then? Probably not. So it would
Yeah.
it would not be like a Tampa 100 where I'm like, oh, let's get another stress fracture. It'll be like, oh, okay, this doesn't feel good. We're gonna walk. We got time. Let's enjoy it. Let's go get a Cuban sandwich, a little cafecito, something, and just kind of taking that Miami vibe and finish at some point. Maybe I'll get the DFL award. He usually has some good DFL awards. So
Last finisher.
the dead effing last. He usually does like a
Yeah.
graffiti skateboard or something. So, but yeah, so you're completely right. Like, no, I'm not recommending people to go do a 50K after stress fracture, but a lot of the people
Yes.
listening to this, probably listening and watching, probably would do the same thing. So they're
Yes.
probably the same kind of person. So
Definitely. I would just say,
that's why I gotta get these coaching things so I can be more appropriate with my timing. But I don't know any better right now. So,
yeah.
but no, I love running down there, and so that's really the reason for it. Like in the past, I've done like the Summer Slam series that's here locally in Tampa that they do. It's like 3 different ultra races. Then they're all free. I'm having no parts of that this year.
Free sounds
It
good.
is free is nice. They do one out there in Orlando. They do one here, and then they do the Pinellas Trail. So they do Dirty Beer Run and Pinellas Trail, all free. They all get a good crowd. Um, but I'm staying away from that this summer.
I didn't do a lot of trail running while I was in Orlando. That was like 2017, I think, that when I was in Orlando. I did a lot of Orlando races, the best damn
Oh
race.
yeah, yeah,
There
yeah.
was one
Yep.
in Tampa too. I did Tampa half too. I think we did the Tampa half too with all of my running buddies that are in Florida. Erica, I think that is Mira's friend. I think my friend recommended Mira, and then Mira recommended you. So that's like a full Florida connection right there.
Florida is a small. The whole running community is small. Period. Like big but small.
Yeah.
I just had that happen where I had somebody like helping with something with my house, and then they ended up knowing somebody that I went to high school with or something. It's just weird. He was like, "You runners," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's us. We're just
Yeah.
we all know each other, but it's like big small community."
I don't have a lot of questions for you. There's two things left. So there is this rapid fire. I'm just gonna ask you a bunch of questions, and you can
Cool.
just give me whatever comes to your mind first.
Sure.
Trail or roads?
Trailer roads, roads,
Sunrise or
sunrise.
sunset? Run. Favorite post-run meal?
Ooh, Cuban sandwich.
One piece of gear you can't live without.
I mean, shoes, obviously. But, um, probably my debit card.
Music, podcast, or silence on long runs.
Silence in races, usually, at least for most of it. I like to save the music for when I need some kind of distraction. And I stopped wearing headphones about 5, 6 years ago just for safety purposes. So if I've got music, I'm the annoying person just blasting it out of their vest or whatever it is.
Worst injury you have had? Stress fracture?
Injury, broken elbow, chronic Achilles stuff, just things like that. And a lot of ankle issues. I've rolled my ankle so much that now it's just kind of at that point where it's always going to have the scar tissue. It's kind of cranky. So I was stretching it while I was saying that. I'm like, yep, it's still there. But yeah, stress fracture was definitely the worst though. But that elbow, I did that on a run too. I do a run every Christmas, and I obviously didn't finish it. I fell down on a board that was down from the hurricane and had to get stitches.
Not fun. Most beautiful place you have ever run?
Tampa.
Oh, no.
You knew I was going to say that. No, I did. I'm a big fan of Colorado and Sedona, and I did. They had like a 50K this year. I think it was last April, and that never gets old to me. And they got some really good pictures too, even though I got lost during it and didn't actually finish. But it was just like that fun. I was out there with friends. We were just like whatever. I was like 20 some miles in and just stopped. But that was probably the most beautiful place I've really ran out there in the Red Rocks and all that.
Sedona is so
Yeah.
beautiful. I like Sedona.
Oh my God!
So I agree.
If it wasn't Florida, that's where I would be. Would be somewhere out in Arizona. The only problem I have with Sedona is I think I'm still in a place in my life where it would be a little too slow for me still, because there's not a lot going on in Sedona. But
Yeah.
the running is beautiful.
You can stay in Phoenix. That's what I was
That's what I
staying
would
in
do.
Phoenix. Gilbert, yeah. Yeah. Couple of hours. Not it's nice though. It's peaceful.
Yeah, I did some run clubs out there because I stayed with some friends a couple of years ago and hit some of those, and I loved Arizona for sure.
Yes. I love it too. Dream race anywhere in the world.
Oh wow! If there's one in the Galapagos somehow, I would do it because I've always wanted to go to the Galapagos. That or I was supposed to run in Ireland a couple of years ago, and I just had too much stuff going on in life. But there was this race that kind of went around this whole down the coast and everything. So I would love to do something international like that, Ireland or Scotland or something like a 50K 50 miler. But there's not a particular one.
Hardest mental moment you have had in an ultra.
Maybe not the Tampa 100. I did an FKT last June or something like that on the Silver Comet Trail. I did that unsupported too, and same thing. I was carrying everything, so I was trying to carry 60 some miles of food on me, so I was already not moving very fast, and my foot there was no water. So the water, you're supposed to have water along the trail, and none of these water fountains worked. It was the whole thing. So I was pretty low in that. I did make some phone calls and some texts and things, and my foot macerated completely. So it split open. So there was
Yeah.
not much running, but I did actually run. I got into a little thing where what I would do is I would go, okay, you got 2 minutes, run for 20 seconds of it or something like that. Just anything to get above that pace. But I finished that up in the late dark too, after illegally on the trail at that point. But that was harder mentally than I think Tampa 100, just because I don't think my mental state was as committed as it was by the time I finally got to last April.
if the courses doesn't have water, because that's the big thing you need. That is the one thing that you need. If there is no gels, it's okay, but the water is that you need
Yeah,
that.
fuel. I had plenty of fuel on me, but I was counting on that's the unsupported rule is you're allowed to still get water as
Yeah.
long as it's like on the trail and everything. And yeah, like I talked to some lady and she's like, "Oh, that fountain hasn't worked since I've been around," and she was like 80. So I was like, "Well, that's not good." So none of this stuff works.
Yeah.
But and obviously it was like Georgia, so I didn't. You basically got dropped off at the Alabama Georgia line, and then you're basically running to Atlanta. It's pretty much what you're doing. So that was
Dang.
that was a bear of a day.
Not fun.
Well, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun.
It's a different
Yes.
kind of fun. When you do 100 miler, then that's normal.
Yeah,
It's a different
it's a
kind
different
of fun.
type of fun.
I have one last question
Yeah.
for you, and I usually ask this to everybody. If you know, running has changed my life because
Made me who I am today. I was a shy kid, very introverted. My parents almost to the point almost were kind of worried, like would I be outgoing enough to survive in this big bad world? And running got made me confident. It was there in my lowest times and my best times, but definitely those low times I had running to remind me that I could set a goal and finish it and do it, and all the other noise doesn't matter. And it gave me the confidence to start a business and do all these things. Like nobody, there's got to be people out there that just go, "Is that her?" Like when they see the things that I'm doing, and that's not like a braggy way, but just maybe it is a little bit. You should be confident and proud of what you did. And I never saw this journey for myself. I never thought I was some runner starting businesses and doing 100-mile things and all that stuff. So it made me confident, and it helped mold me to the woman I am.
awesome, and I hope you don't re-injure yourself in 2 months time. Hey everyone, thank you for making it to the end of the podcast. I hope you really enjoyed this conversation. I'll see you again next time with another guest. Until then, happy running.